Good afternoon. I'm Jim O'Neill. I'm the Forsyth County District Attorney. We have all in this community experienced what can only be described as a senseless tragedy. A young man went to school this week, and he didn't come home to see his family.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. This is Justin Paul. So this is the news conference here from the Forsyth County District Attorney. His name is Jim O'Neill, and he's talking about the stabbing that occurred at North Forsyth High School in Winston-Salem. And as he's going to lay out here, he's going to give his reasons to why there's no charges that will be filed in this fatal stabbing, where a 16-year-old male lost his life, and he was in a fight with an 18-year-old, if I'm not mistaken. A knife was brandished, and one was hurt. The other is no longer with us. So, my condolences to his family. This was definitely a senseless death. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have already watched the video of what happened, and everyone has their own 2 cents to add to this situation and stuff like that. It's just very, very unfortunate, honestly. It's just like no matter what it was over, or who was involved, it's like, for one, man, if there was no knife, then the kid more than likely would still be alive. And two, kids got to learn, man. When you're not old enough to get certain things or have certain things, or even if you are old enough, maybe you shouldn't do those things when you're on school grounds, or have those things with you on school grounds, because you're at school to learn. And you really want to take your education seriously and put it first, because that's going to take you further in life than anything else. Um, Not everyone's going to be lucky to be a streamer or rapper or athlete, in any of those things. Not everyone's going to be that lucky, but one thing you can have as a backbone is your education. Even if it's just a basic high school education, it can get you in the door somewhere to where you can get yourself into a lot of good opportunities. But very, very unfortunate situation again. Again, my condolences to the family of the young man who lost his life. And I know it has to be hard now with social media to have the video circulating the way that it is. And you know but one thing that is like a positive out of the situation is you actually get to see what transpired. And if young people are seeing that video and stuff like that, which I'm sure a lot of the kids who go to that school and a lot of kids around the world have seen that video, hopefully it teaches you what not to do. And hopefully you just look at it and learn a lesson, because you know, even though that's an incident that happened there, it can happen anywhere. And one thing I do know, man, if you're changing classes, go to your classes. If you got to use the bathroom, go use the bathroom. Get up out of there. No conjugating in the bathroom and hanging around and egging stuff on, and none of that type of stuff. Cause when everything was going down, a lot of those kids were just sitting back and watching, and I'm sure at least one of those kids, or two of those kids, or maybe all of those kids that were in there, kind of wish they would have did something a little bit differently in that situation. And then, maybe the young man would still be alive. But I'm gonna let the DA continue here.
And especially this time of year, when so many of us are thinking about what kind of Christmas gifts we're going to get the people that we love. This young man and his family are suffering unimaginable sorrow and pain. What you heard from Detective Sloan from the Sheriff's Department was a summary of what the evidence has been and what they've been able to collect. I'd like to thank the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Department has worked night and day on this case since it occurred with the assistance of the Winston-Salem Police Department. The combined efforts of your two agencies here is remarkable. And I said the other day, when tragedy strikes your community like it has done to ours this week, and we have professional, highly trained law enforcement agencies that are going to work hard and get to the truth of the matter, that's all we can ask for. So we're fortunate. So I'd like to thank just a moment Chief Penn, Sheriff Kimbrough. Your team was outstanding here. So I will tell you that having coached young men in this community for more than 25 years at the high school level, young men get involved in some stupid things and they make some bad decisions. We have no enemy to punish here. We have no friend to reward in terms of this investigation and the decisions to be made in the case. Our only obligation to the family of the decedent and to this community is to pursue the truth and pursue justice on behalf of the young man's family. What we had here in this case, by every piece of evidence that was collected and presented, by every witness that was spoken to. And remember something, folks, we know the video is out there. That tells a snippet of what happened in this case. The interviews tell more information. And you learn during the course of this investigation that these two young men knew each other very well, rode the school bus together, had a conversation that morning, talking to each other. They were friends, which makes this even more of a tragedy. The individual that survived this altercation suffered what we would describe as defensive type wounds on the inside of his hands in an effort to wrestle the knife away from the 16-year-old. If you remember what Detective Sloan told you, the 16-year-old is the one that produced the knife. The 18-year-old tried to wrestle it away from him and had to be treated at the hospital for slice wounds to his hands. During the course of that altercation, both hands are on the knife. The knife comes up and punctures our 16-year-old one time through the sternum and through the heart. I tell you that the video only represents a snippet of what occurred because many people in this community don't understand that the 18-year-old, upon seeing that his friend was stabbed and laying on the ground, tried to render aid, tried to pack the wound and keep pressure on it. The 18-year-old was interviewed by law enforcement while he was recovering from his own injuries. And I can tell you, he cried and cried when he learned that his friend was dead. This was not an intentional act on behalf of the 18-year-old. It was not. there's not a shred of evidence to suggest that this was anything more than an accident. And what does the law tell us about accident? Well, I can tell you that the North Carolina Supreme Court has found over and over again that the defense of accident is triggered in factual situations where a defendant, without premeditation, intent, or culpable negligence, commits acts which bring about the death of another. Our 18-year-old also, of course, under the law, had the right to use self-defense. And the law, again, tells us over and over again, you have the right to defend yourself. And when this knife was produced, he tried to wrestle it away from the 16-year-old. Now, what has come to light during the course of this investigation and been shared with me is that our 18-year-old has now been subjected to threats against himself and his family, which, based upon this investigation and the truth, is totally inappropriate.
Yeah, I agree. His family had nothing to do with the situation. And if the play-by-play happened as the DA is laying out, very, very unfortunate. It's just an unfortunate situation, but I don't agree with anyone threatening the 18-year-old and his family. At some point, this has to stop. It has to stop. I mean, I know it's fresh. It like literally just happened, but they were going at it over something that neither one of them should have had at school, and one had a knife, which neither one of them. I mean, no one should have a knife in school, and this is the results of what happens. When things can get out of control. You're young. You don't know how to really like deal with your emotions and just how to walk away. A lot of times I just sit there and think like, man, what if the kid would have just walked away, not walked into the bathroom and stuff like that. But those are like what ifs, and we'll really never know. But just wanted to come give an update because I did a video on when the news broke. Wanted to give an update that they're not going to be charging the 18-year-old in this case. It's determined that he was trying to get the knife away from the 16-year-old. He suffered cuts on the inside of his hands, and again, this is a very, very unfortunate situation. Very, very senseless, and I just think if all those guys would have just either broke it up, not went into the bathroom or something like that, then the young guy he would still be here. I'm going to close out this video though. If you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. This is Justin Paul. Peace.